Okay, so let's get started. Let's get things started. So first, before we get started to what's new today, just to give a quick recap of what is to come. So next Friday, we have our final. So in our final, the first half an hour to an hour, we're going to be doing some practice, some exercise, okay? Just to warm you up for the test, okay? So again, beginning of next class, next Friday, we're going to be doing some warm-up, some exercise, so we can get ready for the test. Today, we're going to be doing that a little bit, just to get us started. As I said before, the final test is multiple choice with one question that is open-ended. You have to do a bit of pseudocode. Who knows what pseudocode means? Like, it's not that I'm going to compile your code. You can just write the logic there. If your thinking is correct, that's great. That's what I'm looking for, okay? So that's one question only, but the rest is multiple choice. Any questions about that?
Only one question for like coding, right?
Yeah, it's not even official. It won't require you to code. It will require you to explain some things about coding.
Explaining with the English.
So the question is more like a theory one, or
It's more. I would say it mixes a little bit, because if you don't have the practice, you won't be able to answer that. It's not just theory. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna simulate that you are doing a project, and you're gonna tell me what next steps you should take here. Okay? Okay, so today, what is it that we're gonna be doing today? Today we're gonna have our last, I would say, theory class, our last time that we do some, a new topic, so that's our last one. With this last topic, there will be a bonus 11, but I promise it's the last bonus. That is the last, not like the last fake, it's the last true one. Yeah, the 10 one was the fake one. This is a true one. So today, again, we're going to be talking about identity framework. We're going to be taking 15 minutes to do the climate survey. I'll get to that once I get to that. Then second half, we're going to go through assignment 3, while the rest of the class goes through bonus 11. Okay? But this is for our second half. And again, we're going to be doing a quick quiz, 4 questions. So again, you can start to get into the test mood. Okay? So I want to get you in the mood. Identity framework. We have done a little bit of that already. Identity framework. Identity means user, means security. We did a little bit of security 2 weeks ago. Okay? 2 weeks ago, we did security. We secure. What is it that we secured 2 weeks ago? We secured what? I mean, we allow and we secured what in our code?
Editing.
What are those things? I mean, what is editing? It's an
Editing?
N-A, A-C, A-C, A-C-T, action. It's an action. I'm getting, letter by letter here, A-C-T. I mean, should I spell it out completely? Anyway, we are securing actions. We're securing controllers, okay? Today, we're going to be talking we're still talking about security, but now we're going to be creating a user management. A user management CRUD. Okay? Create, update, delete users. Okay? So that's what we're going to be doing today. So objectives here. To be able to manage users. Applications that you're going to be working out there in the industry, they'll have users. They'll have users with different levels of access. Users will have different roles. So today, we will be still hammering users. But now we're going to be able to list, create, and do a basic CRUD for our users. And the end part of this will be your bonus 11, which you have the chance to do that today, before the end of the day today, and get it done today. So nothing to take home today or now or never. Okay. So why is this important? Just based on some of the things that I just mentioned. It's systems that you're going to be working out there, they have user management. User management is usually a key element, a key part of applications out there, of systems, of projects. Now, ASP.NET Core, it brings to us, it gives to us identity already. We don't have to develop users from scratch. By scratch, I mean, I don't have to create a user class. I don't have to create the login from scratch, the password management from scratch. No. Identity framework, it gives that to us. It provides that to us out of the box. Ready-made and well-tested. It's tested by Microsoft, and it's thousands clients, hundreds of thousands of clients. So we just use it. We just use it in our applications. Okay? What we're going to be talking about can be found on chapter 28. Chapter 28 of the book. Who knows that you all have access to this book for free from Centennial? Who knows that? You know that? The digital version. The digital version. You all have access to that. No, it's easier than that. I just came to know about that a week ago. O'Reilly. Who knew that? Not too many people. You see, a class of 30 people and just 3 people know that. I didn't know that about a week ago. I came to know. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the semester. But I will show you, at least you can use that for other courses, next courses. You know, you have all the library of O'Reilly there. I'm going to show you now. So you're going to get out of here knowing something new today. I guarantee you that you're not going to forget this URL. I'll show you this. Because it's so simple, it's so easy. I don't believe that this is not more in your faces, you know, so it gets known. Not in my face, it wasn't my face. O'Reilly.com. So if you follow me, please, I'll go to Padlet and I'll post there. So here is the site. So O'Reilly.com, just load it up. Once you are there, click sign in. And I'm just going to go there quickly because I'm signed in already, but I want to sign out so I can show you this fully. So sign in. And then sign in here again. Now you're going to use your Centennial email address. Okay? So just put your email address there. When you leave, you don't have to add the password there because you're going to be using a single sign-on. So email address, single sign-on. Click there. You are redirected to Centennial. You sign in there. And voila, you have access. Let's find the book. Put the book title here. Search it. Here it is. And now, I have access to the entire book. Right here. Everything. Okay, now you know. I don't know if all books from all courses are here. I don't know. They are not? Yeah, so I'm not sure. Maybe they are, maybe they are not. Maybe it's just orally related books, but I don't know if this is a... Anyway, this book is there. And a ton of other books, a ton of new books as well. So again, use it. Use it to your benefit. Today, you're going to be going to this chapter 28 here, to the end of it, to do the bonus 11 if you choose to do so. So you're going to be accessing it right here, getting started with identity. That's the chapter that we're going to be covering. Some people were trying from the workstations, and from the workstations in the other class, it was not working. I don't know why. But for my laptop, it's working. Again, oh, it's working there? Yep, good. Oh, good. So, any questions? If you have, I don't know if I can answer, but at least now you know. Okay, loving and learning. Back here to our MVC diagram, identity framework. Well, we're going to be creating a CRUD. So for a CRUD to work, we're going to have a controller. We're going to have models as well. We're going to have a new user model. We're going to have a new DB context to connect to this identity database. And we're going to have views as well. We're going to have a view to list the users. We're going to have a view to create user. We're going to have a view to edit user. Okay? The edit one, you will be the ones doing for the bonus. We're going to start from there. We're going to create a new model called app user, and you're going to create a new context called DB well, the name is not exactly that. We're going to be creating a DB context. Let me just flip here to Centennial for a second. So if you go to Centennial under contents, scroll down to source codes, chapter 28. You should be able to see two files, these two files here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this one, and I will be building step by step. Okay? Some of the things that I'll be walking you through, we have gone already through those. But I want to recap them. Because actually what I'll be walking through will help you during the tests. It will help you with this open-ended question. Okay? So, again, pay attention. Use the time well here. Okay, yes. So, I'm going to start by running the application, the final version, and showing what is it that we are working towards. Okay, we are working towards getting it like this. Here is what this is. Again, this is the final result. The initial page doesn't have much. To be quite honest, it's very useless. But that's okay. That's okay. Because then we're going to go to /admin. And from here, we're going to be able to create, update, delete, manipulate users. Okay? So I'll give an example. I'll click create. Let's say that we have a username here and a password. Let's see if this will work here. Okay, and here we have a new user. So we have this ID here, which is a long, kind of unique string. Okay, it's called a GUID string identifier. Okay, very difficult to have another one the same like that. Okay, again, you can see how many characters we have there. So it's a mix of numbers, letters, so very, very difficult to get another one like that. It's not guaranteed to be unique, but it's very hard to get another one just like that. Username, email, so now we can, so we just created a new record there, a new user. We can change, make change to it. There is some, as you can see, validation here. Username cannot have numbers. You're going to see some of that today, but let me just put 1, 2, 3 here. Let me save this and see. We were able to update, to change, okay? And we are able also to delete. So that's what we're going to be doing with users, okay? Using the identity framework. Okay, any questions? Yes.
It seems kind of weird that for this the password isn't hidden password.
Yeah, well,
Just for the testing.
yeah, just for a testing purpose. Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be improved. Can definitely be improved, yes. Okay, so I'm going to close this one here. And I'm going to open. Again, I'm going to start with this one here. If you want to follow along, you can. You can download this one here. And then you can follow the steps along. If you don't, that's fine. Because in the end, you also have this one here, which has all of the code done. So again, it's your option to follow along or just follow me as I go along. So here is our starting point. This is what I like to call a startup, a starter project. It gives you, it's not from scratch. It gives you some of the plumbing already in place. Some of the folders are already in place. You have controller in place. You have some views added as well. You have the view start, the view imports. You have a layout as well. So a lot of the basic stuff is already taken care of for us. So I've provided, including Bootstrap as well. Bootstrap is already added here. Okay. So a lot of the groundwork has been already done in this startup project. Now, we're going to build on top of that. We're going to build, and we're going to follow through the presentation here. So as I said, we're going to start by creating a new class called app user. Okay, so this app user is nothing more, nothing less than a child class of identity user. If you recall 2 weeks ago, we have used identity user to be able to log in to our application. It's the class that we can have access to things like username, email address, ID. This is the class. However, this identity user, it doesn't have all properties that we may want to add to our user. Maybe we want to add first name, last name, address, city, postal code, whatever it is. Maybe we want to enhance this identity user. We cannot change it, but we can always create a derived class from it that we can add those additional properties. First name, last name, any properties I want. Maybe my application will require a user to have some properties that are not available yet in the identity user. And again, we cannot change it, so we inherit from it and add our own properties. So we're going to start with this guy, app user. If I want to create that app user, what should I do here next? What's the first thing that you would do if you would get this project looking like the way it is right now? A models folder. Exactly. So let's go. Right-click the project, add, new folder. I'm going to call models. And we're going to create our app user inside of that folder. So right-click, add, new item, and then class. Let's call it app user. By the way, this could be another name. Could be my user, your user, our user. Doesn't matter. It's just a name that we are giving to this new user that we are going to, this new user class that we're going to create. So I'm going to add. Again, the purpose is to be able to extend, even though we won't be extending, but we're going to be inheriting from it. So I'm going to say app user inherits from identity user. Okay. Now, I have to add a namespace here, which is fine. And here, I could extend and add more properties. I'm not going to add them. I could easily add, but to make things a little bit simpler, I'm not going to extend that, but that's how you would extend the identity user to your own class by adding additional properties to it, okay? You just, now, here's the thing. App user will be, from now on, the user class that you're going to be using for this application, for this project here. So in the past, 2 weeks ago, that we have used this for, we have used this for the sports store. Instead of using identity user now, we're going to be using app user. Okay, it's a child of identity user. Okay, but it's our own user. Great. So we have done our user. Any questions? I mean, I just want to pause for the cause. Any questions? Any? Okay. Yep. The app user class, you mean?
Yeah, just that.
Yep. Good. Nothing special here, aside from inherited from identity user. That's it. Now, going back here to the presentation, this slide is just showing some of the properties available for the identity user. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, let me see. Okay. Today I want to learn something new. Look at this. So this is how you can see here some of the properties that are available for identity user. We have username, as I said, email, password hash. Who can tell me what is that?
It's the hashed version of the password. So it's the hashing. It's a destructive algorithm that makes a unique string associated to specific password.
Mm-hmm.
There is a loss of information, so from the hash is not possible. It's not impossible, okay, but it's not computationally easy to get back to the real password.
So the application, the database, saves not the passwords, but this hashed version, which, as Carmelo was saying, is very hard to get from this hashed password, get back to the original password. So it's very hard to decrypt that. It's not really encrypted, but it's hashed. So again, the plain password is not there. What happens when you type the password in the system is that the password gets hashed. Then the hashed version that you typed is the one compared with this hashed version here. So the comparison is not the plain password, but the hashed password with the hashed password that's there. If it's a match, you log in. If it's not a match, you don't. Okay? Okay, so we also have what? Roles. In the sense that the same user can have multiple roles. Think about the Centennial. I have 2 roles on the Centennial. I'm a student and I'm a faculty member. So again, same thing here with identity framework. We can have users having multiple roles. Okay? Phone number. Well, we don't have address, but we have phone number. So again, those are basic properties of our identity user, which is they are available as well to our app user. Okay, now let's create this class as well, the DB context. What is a DB context? The database, yes, the connection to the database. I like to say that this is the bridge. I was trying to do a bridge here. I mean, this is a bridge. So this is the bridge between the application and the database. Okay? Very simple class. Not more than what, 4 or 5 lines there. And with that, we are creating a class that will be the point, the class to be used to send information to the database and read information from the database. This is not new. This is not new to you. I mean, but again, it serves as a bit of a recap of what we have seen before, which will help you to the test as well. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay. Let's put this together. So, discard. Let's go back to the application. And let's create, under models, let's create a new class called app. What's the name here? App identity DB context. Okay, app identity DB context. Again, the bridge between the application and the database. Okay, I am going to use some code as a reference. So I'm going to open another window here. Yep, I'll just be, so we're going to be inheriting it from another class. I'm just going to open something here to use as a reference point. Okay, app identity DB context. So we're going to be inheriting from identity DB context. Again, if this was not an identity database, this would be only DB context, like the products database or the recipes database that you have in the recipe application, okay? Now, if we didn't have app user, if you look at Sports Store, in Sports Store, this was using identity user. However, because we have app user, we're going to be using our own user here to identify what is the class that I'll be using to carry the information about the user. Now let's fix the namespace. Entity framework has been added to the top. And now we just have to create the constructor of this class here. Here is the constructor. We are passing as a parameter the options, and we are setting the options to the app identity DB context. Again, this is not new. We have done this many times with regular databases, with identity databases. Just have this in mind here. And that's it. We send the options to the base class, to the base constructor. Okay? Base constructor, the constructor is the constructor of this one, of this class, identity DB context. Okay, so let's recap here. So what do we have? We have our DB context. Now what? How do I make the connection to the database? How can I further the development here of the database connection? What do I need to do next? To? Come on. Connection string? Let's do the connection string? Yeah, let's do that. So for the connection string, which file do I need to create? What is the name of the file? App settings. So let's go to right-click the project, go to Add, New Item, and then we're going to select our app settings.json. Let's keep the structure that it brings to us by default. We don't need to modify that one, but we do need to modify the database. So let's call this identity users. There's no username, there's no password here because we are using a trusted connection. The user that we are logged in our Windows environment is the same user being used to connect to this local database. Remember, we are just using the local database here. I know that you already miss Azure, so we're going to do something with Azure as well, okay? So don't worry. Azure is still there.
Is it different before we make the login connection string? Is it different?
Is it different?
With the login connection string, when we make the identity, when we make the login, we make the same thing, the login connection string.
This is the login connection string. Yeah, because this is the identity database. In our case here, our application only has one database, which is the identity database. We don't have a second database for this example. We don't have products, we don't have recipes, we just have identity. Our sales system is very simple, very, very simple.
So we don't using two connection string with the login and the
Not for this one here. This one here, we are just managing our users. If you think about that, the goal of our system is just to manage users. So we just have one database, one single database here. We don't have it's not an academic application, it's not a recipe application, it's not an e-commerce application, it's just an application to manage users. So we just have one single and simple database. The name that I changed was, you see, this parameter called database, it had change me. So you just remove the change me. It was like this before. See, it was just like this, Luis. And we just select that and put the correct name of our database. Okay, so with that done, what's next? Again, we are working on the plumbing of our site. So which class should we work next? Configurations, where are we going to deal with that? Where, which file, which class? Startup, so let's go to the startup. Which class are you going to be using to be able to read, not from the database yet, but to read from the app settings file. Which class is that? Configure. So configuration. So we have the I configuration. So you're gonna declare here a public property. This could be private as well. I don't see a reason why to make it public, but public I configuration, and I'm going to call it configuration. And this will only have a simple get. It will be a read-only. Okay. So we're going to be using configuration to read the settings of our app settings. I'm going to add the namespace. Here it is. Namespace at the top. Now, we are declaring an interface. Which strategy are we going to use to create this configuration? What is it that we are going to be using to create that? We're going to be using dependency injection here. Usually dependency injection we use in the context of constructors. Okay? So we're going to create a constructor for our startup class. We're going to say public startup. And we're going to be declaring an I configuration as well as a parameter for the startup constructor. But you're going to be saying that this is a lowercase configuration, so it doesn't get confused by our uppercase here. And then we just set configuration equals to configuration capital C equals to configuration lowercase c. So again, this strategy is dependency injection. I can guarantee you there will be a question about dependency injection. I can guarantee there will be. I mean, if there is one thing that I really want you to leave this course having a good idea about is dependency injection. Okay. So now I can use configuration to read the contents of the app settings. Okay? Okay, where did the identity user came from? It came from, let's see here, it came from this namespace. In this namespace here, Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Identity, this is a namespace that has this class. It's part of the identity framework that is provided to .NET Core. Okay? So it came from there. What is dependency injection again? Okay. Anyone volunteer some sort of description or example or something like that?
Well, it's a method. It's a way to literally inject components into the flow of the running application when we need the components. So when we need, for example, a class, the system automatically, if we declare that, the system is authorized to load automatically the class to us.
Correct, correct. Actually, so if you need a refresher on that, I highly recommend you go back. I mean, I'll briefly explain, but I will not have 30 minutes to go through every single detail. But I recommend that you go back to one of the videos of our class that covered when to use. Remember that we used fake repository? We had fake repository and we had entity framework repository. That's the moment that I really explain, okay, so in one single point, you can flip. Now the application is no longer using fake repository. It's using the real entity framework repository. In one single place, you change, and the entire application starts to use the database instead of the in-memory. That's what dependency injection helps. Instead of having me using, let's say, the fake repository everywhere in our application and declaring that fake repository everywhere, I do that in one single place. And so I'm injecting the dependency of the application to that fake repository in one single location. And then if you need to change the repository, you go to that location and you change it there. And everything else will be using the new repository instead of the fake one. This is just one example. Again, it's a way that you make, see, dependency injection is a way that you have your system less coupled. The system becomes very independent. The moving parts of the system are very independent from each other. That's why the strategy of dependency injection, because the different parts of the system are not dependent too much from each other. But we still need some dependency there. So we inject, we add, we insert the dependency in one single place. So that's what it means, dependency injection. We are adding, in a way, in one single place, that dependency. Now, it's dependent on that point, but not spread throughout the system. It's one single place of dependency there. You change it there, it applies to the entire system. That's my attempt, my 1 minute attempt to go through dependency injection. The best thing really is to see that being done. And again, the fake repository with the entity framework repository, that's a classic example of dependency injection and the use of it. Okay? That's my spiel. Will bonus 11 be like bonus 10? No, bonus 11 will be bonus 11. Bonus 10 was bonus 10. Now, if you mean that so bonus 10, we had a few days to do. The end of the class, second half, you have 2 hours to do bonus 11. That's it. Okay? Okay. Let's get going here. Okay, so now we have a connection string. Okay, so where are we? So startup. We were at the startup. We did the configuration. Now, with that configuration done, we need to add 2 lines. We break it down so it seems like many lines, but they are not. It's just 2 lines. 2 lines of codes under the configure services. The first line will connect the DB context to the connection string, so it can connect to the database. The second line will add the identity services to our application. So I'm gonna just copy them one at a time, and I'll show you what's going on here. So configure, yeah. Okay, so here we are adding our identity DB context to the contexts of the service, of the DB context of the application service. So we have to use the models there in the namespace. We have to use another model here for the use SQL. Again, we are using SQL Server, even though it's a local DB, but local DB, as I said before, it's a mini version of SQL Server that comes with Visual Studio. Now I came to understand that you can use something called SQLite to run this on Macs. So if you do this course again, Shane, you can use your Mac. hope that you don't need to take the course again. Anyway, this is how you can connect to that particular type of database. I'm quite sure that there is one for Oracle as well. There's one thing like that for most of the database out there. Okay? Now, we have to adjust our connection string. We have to use configuration to read our connection string. Let's see how it looks like. Well, we have connection strings. That's the first segment, the first entry. And the second one is default connection. I'm going to just copy both of them. Here, what we gave is, we gave a kind of a path, you know. Start with this entry, go to this entry after that, and read its contents. That's what this is doing. So we are getting the connection string from the app settings right here, using the configuration class that the configuration object that we have declared. Okay, so this sorted out the connection to the database. Now we also need to add the identity services, okay? So the identity services that we have is this one here. So let me copy this whole thing. Actually, this could be slightly simpler. Let me go here. I think that I have a better version, a simpler version here. Yes. Okay, so in our code here, we are calling services again, and we are adding identity to the application. So we are saying, hey, this application will be secured. I need identity to add to it. So we add that. Here is our app user, our new user class that we have created, we have declared. Identity role, I'm not going to change that one. I'm going to keep using what is provided by Identity Framework. Now, if by any chance, if you are interested to get to know more about how to add roles to your application, you can go to the last video of chapter 12. It's a 20 minutes long video that I go through all the details about how to add roles to users, how to create roles, how to add roles to users. Again, the very last video of chapter 12. And we just have one more step here to go to get done with our startup. Okay, so this is actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's give it 5 minutes. Once you come back, I will wrap this up. 5 minutes.
Can you come back to this stuff?
To this part here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay, let's carry on. Let's carry on here. So we stopped on our startup. We have just added the DB context and the identity service. Now, the next step here, it's very common for people to get confused here. And I think, Rose, that's where you are having the problem.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we have to make sure that we add authorization to our application right here before MVC. So we have to add app.use authentication. but it has to be before MVC.
Important okay.
The order. The order is important because if this goes after, you're not going to be able to log into the application. I don't know if this is the problem, Rose. Is that yours? Is it?
Yeah, it was
So flip, and it will work. It should work. So again, if you do this, you won't be able to log into the application. It won't work. Okay? It has to be before MVC.
Oh, so is this just sort of a weird typing thing?
Actually it's a pipe. This is a pipe of in a way of services here. So we are adding one on top of the next one. So if authentication comes after MVC, you won't be able to validate users. You have to have the user information valid before you call MVC, because when you are using the MVC routing, you need already to know who's who in the zoo, who is the user in the application that is using the application, okay? So it's very important, the order. I saw a few people with that kind of problem asking for my feedback, okay? Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, with those elements in place, let me have a look at the database, because I have run this before. I have already a database called identity user, so I'm going to get rid of this database. Forget that you saw it. Think that you've never seen it here, because that's how it would show up initially for us. Now, with those elements in place, we can take care of creating our database. Anyone has heard this term, code first? We are creating our database by using the code first strategy. Again, code first. Have anyone heard this expression? What we are doing here is code first. What does it mean, code first? Is that first we are doing the code, then we are creating the database based on the code. The code will drive the database. So we don't create the database manually. The code will create the database for us. This approach of creating classes, of creating migrations, is called code first. If someone in a job interview asks you, what's code first? Now you know. Just adding more ammunition for your interviews. Again, it's important. Again, very popular concept. Code first approach. It means that first you code, you put the classes together, then you create a database based on that code, which is not very traditional. If you think from a very traditional development standpoint, we create a database, we plan the fields, we plan the tables, we put everything there, and then we create our application. Here, we have, in a way, kind of the opposite. We have the code first and the database second. That's why code first. The code came before the database. The code will drive the database. Okay? We're not going to be creating database manually. You can definitely create the database manually, the tables, the fields, but with this approach of code first, the code comes not second, not third, but first. Okay? So, with that in mind, how should we carry on now to get to our new database? What should we do in our package manager? Migrate. Yep. That's it. So here, what is the exact command? Anyone can tell me the exact syntax here? Is that add migration or add migration? Add. Let me see if that's the one. Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to exit here. So it's add migration And then, what is the next parameter here? The first and only parameter, I think. It's the name of the, yes, it's correct, it's initial. But again, it could be initial script. It can be any name. It's the first script that we're going to be creating for our, see, we don't have a migrations folder yet. So add migration, and I'm going to call it initial. When I hit enter, again, initial is not a keyword, okay? It's just a name. It could be anything, okay? It can be anything. I'm going to prove that can be anything. Okay, now we have our migration called anything. Okay? Here is our classes, our migration classes, okay? The folder, the classes there. Again, those classes will create the database in the tables. Now, how do I get my database? I have the migration scripts here. How do I get the database created? What is the commands that we put in our package manager? Update.
Well, are we going to keep it as anything, please?
Yeah, the name, not the name of the database, but just the name of the script. Yes, I mean, it does not really matter. Update database. This is just the name of the script. When I make modifications to my model, I can just run the add migration again with a different name. So I just keep adding names. The name is like a tag that I said, this migration is called X. The next one is called Y. Okay? So we're going to run update database so it can read the migration scripts and create our database. So here we go. Hit enter and wait. Okay, so now if I refresh databases, I can see our new database there. Okay, with the tables. Okay, so let's clear this a little bit here. Let's get some space around here. This is the migration scripts. Let's see what we have next. So we have done all of that. We read the configuration, connected to the database, add identity service. We did that. We ran both add migration. I call it here initial. Again, you can call anything. Update dash database. And now we are ready to start creating our controllers, our actions, our views. Okay? Okay, so let's create our controller. So we're going to have an admin controller. So I'm going to go back to the controllers folder. I'm going to add a new class, which I'm going to call it actually admin controller. Admin control. So I'm going to call it admin controller. I'm going to hit OK. And here I'm going to inherit this from controller. So I'm going to add the namespace. And here we're going to create a very simple view. View result. I'm going to create an index view. And I'm going to return a view. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to, for this controller to work, usually controllers, we have repositories declared inside the controller. Why do we create a repository? Not so much create. Why do you declare a controller? Why do you declare a repository inside a controller? Because the controller needs to access the data. So the repository is the link between the controller and the database, actually. Okay? Now, in our case, we didn't create here under models. We don't have any repositories because we don't need to have. Because Entity Framework will provide us a repository for the users. That's why we have Entity Framework, not Entity Framework. Identity Framework. Identity. Again, Identity Framework will give us identity user, identity role. It will give us as well a repository to be able to manage the users, to be able to create, update, delete, list users. I showed that repository 2 weeks ago. I don't expect you to remember, but go back to the video, it's there. I'll prove you. It's called User Manager. We're going to be using a class called User Manager to be able to manipulate our users. Update, delete, create, list, okay? So you're going to declare that as a private property here. Sorry, a private field. So I'm going to say private user manager. Again, this is a repository provided by Identity Framework. We have to define the type of our user manager, the class. We have our app user. And I'm going to call this lowercase user manager. Now, we have to add a few namespaces here. First, for user manager, we have to add Microsoft ASP.NET Core identity. And then for the app user, move the mouse over and then we can add the models there. Awesome. So we have declared, but it's not created. Let's use the dependency injection here. Dependency injection again. It's present all the way. We're going to create user manager by using dependency injection again. The strategy of using dependency injection usually involves creating what? What are we going to add here? Next. A constructor. So let's do that. Admin controller. So you're going to say public admin controller, and then as a parameter, we're going to create a user manager here. I'm just going to rename this a little bit so it doesn't get confused with this one here. MGR. And in the body, I'm going to say user manager, which is our private, equals to this one here in the parameter. And this is how I have access to the user manager repository in my controller, in my admin controller. Now, this index, I wanted to show the list of users. Well, now I have a repository. I'm going to send to it the user manager dot users. And here we have. Okay. One thing that I see a lot of you having difficulties is how to troubleshoot codes. See, in this course, you should know that. You should have come through comp129 knowing how to troubleshoot. I see a lot of you with difficulties on putting the breakpoints. You don't even know where to put the breakpoints. So I'm going to show you that. Again, another thing that I want you to leave. Do you know or you don't? Okay, so pay attention. So breakpoint, what is a breakpoint? It's a point in the code that when the application is running, it stops there. It stops there so you can check what is happening, what's going on. How do you do a breakpoint? Move the mouse over the gray area at the far left side of the editor. Move the mouse there, and then click there. That's it. That's a breakpoint. What will happen is that when you run the application, when the application is right on this line, it stops, and you can move the mouse over and have a look at the users, have a look at and examine, watch what's going on in this line. Then you can see, oh, this value here is 0, this value here is whatever. You can monitor, you can have a look at what's happening. It's impossible to debug without knowing how to do that. That's the reason why sometimes you get stuck on little things that if you just knew how to debug, it would get sorted out quite quickly. It's an indispensable tool for a developer, how to troubleshoot, how to debug. Okay? I'll just show you that particular one there. I'm gonna run it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put /admin. See, the application stops. It shows this yellow pointer saying that, hey, the application is right here. Now I can just move the mouse over users. I can have a look. Okay, let me see what's going on here. I can see the properties. I can monitor everything from here. I can even do something like this. I can copy this name here. There is a watch list that I can add the variables here. And I can say, let's say see, you can see all the properties there. User.count, let's say. Let me see here if there's a count. See, show 0. Yes.
Can we trace back to another method or that method?
If you can trace back
Yeah.
to
For example, that other method called that method to go inside. So can I trace back to
So again, from here, if this was a method call, I could press F11, and F11 will allow me to step into and go line by line.
for example that I want to know that what method going to be result in that. So I could know the workflow of the app.
Okay, so what you can do is, yes, there is something here. Let me see, debug. Okay, there is something here that shows the. There's a term for that. It's the. Let me see if I recall that. The stack trace. I mean, that is stack trace. Yeah. So let me see here. View. Other windows. I think there is a window for that. Stack trace. Yeah, there is something here. I just don't remember exactly where it is. Stack trace. I think it's called stack trace, but debug. Windows. Okay. Call stack, here it is. That's it. So you should be able to see it from here. Again, that's not the case, because in our case here, we don't have a call stack here. We just stop there. We're not calling another one, which is calling another one in our codes, but that's the call stack. Okay, no problem. So again, very important, if you want to be a developer and you don't know to debug, I mean, again, you should. Anyway, I'm going to stop here, and then I have a question there, even if it changed the order. Okay, what's up? Okay, some people insisting here on the bonus 11. So 10% bonus is now out of, yes. Very smart, yes. Yes, it says yes. The answer is yes. Yes. Okay, so what's next? Well, I'll ask you, what's next? What should be next here? Create what? A view called what? A view called? Index. Okay, so we're gonna go to views and create index under home, correct? Under where? Called admin. So we're gonna create a new folder under views called admin. And we're going to create the view called index. So, sorry. So I have to select here, razor view index. Okay, what is the model that you're going to be linking this view to? If I want to show the list of users, which model is that one? Again, I know something like that will be there. Capital M model, lowercase m model, okay? Know the difference. Anyway, model, which model this will be linked to? To an enumerable of what type? App user. Okay, now, app user, it's complaining. It's complaining because the namespace is not there. There are two ways that we can fix that. Give me one way. We could do. We could go to the view start and do what? Oh, not view start, sorry. View imports and do what here? Using. And then users dot models. This would fix. Yeah, I don't need to put user here. So it will fix there because it's used by that one as well. Or I could put the namespace here. But again, this one is more, it allows us to write less. Now, do I need to, I just have one layout file. Do I need to use a layout here? Where do I define the layout for the entire application right now? I define that under the view start, okay? So because it's already there, I don't need to, I'm just using one layout. I don't need to define it again here. Which C# or better yet, which razor structure should we use to read the list of users? What should we do? To read them, to iterate. So you can use a for each. So for each, then for each, let's say var or app user in what? Model, and then we loop through it. We're gonna get the properties. We're gonna get at user.id, and then at user.username, and we're gonna get the email as well. Now, of course, we're gonna put that inside a table, but that is about it. We're gonna put this inside a table, and then in that table, we're gonna add two actions, edit and delete. And at the bottom of this table, we're gonna have a create. So we're gonna have three actions here. The edit to make change to the user, the delete to remove the user, and the create to create a brand new user. Okay? Let's see one thing here. Okay, so I'm just gonna mention what is bonus 11 about. Okay, in bonus 11, you're gonna do two things. You're gonna use this one here as your start point, and this is for the second part of our class, okay? So I'm just giving you a heads up here because you're gonna do a few things before the middle of the class, and we're getting to the middle here. So download this one here. It has the delete and the create. It's already here, already built into. You should have access to that. Let me just confirm here. Yes. So you should be able to take this one here. What is missing? It's missing the edit. The edit part is missing here. Where can you find the edits? The edit you can find in the book. Now you all know how to get to the book. So that's good. No excuse about that. So you can go to the book, the end of chapter 28, the very last pages is showing how to do the edits. You're going to use the book as a reference point. You're going to do the editing there. Now, is it just copying and pasting there? No, because you have to deploy this to Azure. I know that you miss Azure already. You love Azure. So you're going to deploy this little application to our friend Azure. It's just one database. Come on. Last class was 2 databases. Now it's just 1 database. Half of the effort. It's half of the effort. Anyway, and then you post the URL. You post the URL on Centennial. I promise that's the last bonus. You're not going to hear about bonus anymore. I know that you don't like bonus. I get it. So last one, just post the URL. That's it. We are done with bonus here. Questions? Yeah, just post the URL. Don't post the code, okay? Again, don't post the codes. Don't post the codes. Don't post the codes, okay? But I know that you still post some code there. Okay, just the URL, okay? The Azure URL. Again, while I go to the assignment 3, as I usually go, we're going to go through assignment 3 in our second half, okay? Before that, I have 2 things here in mind. Okay, let's start with the quiz. Let's do a quick quiz. Let's do a quiz. 4 questions. It will give you a taste of the test. A taste of the test. Okay. So let's do that one. You're going to see that it's 4 questions, not in a very specific topic. It's very wide-ranging, but you're going to have an idea of what we'll be doing in the test. Okay. Have a look there. Here's the codes. I'm just going to hide your names here. And here's the codes. Give it 3 minutes here, 4 minutes. Okay, so let's have a look here. So first one, in an MVC application, where do you typically apply validation? Where is it? in the model. Let's think about validation. Give me an example of a validation.
Please enter something.
If it's?
If it's no, what do you mean?
Yeah, if it's filled up or not. Yeah, so that kind of validation, where do we specify that? Where do you specify that kind of thing? There is a keyword that you use. What is the keyword that we use inside of a? So you do that in the model. What is the name of that annotation? Required. Okay. So we usually do that in the model, in the domain model. Now, don't get fooled by, oh my God, what is domain model? What is domain? Domain is just the, let's say, if we are talking about an academic system, the domain is that. It's an academic system. In academic system, we expect faculty, grades, students. In an e-commerce system, what do you expect to have in terms of classes? Think about the sports store. Which types of classes do you expect? Those are properties, fields. Let's think about the classes. One level up. Product, what else? Well, I buy. So maybe orders. Okay? So those are classes. Those are models. And they are specifically domain models. Domain because it's part of that application domain. Domain is not a keyword here. It's the business of that application. It's students. It's an academic system. It's an accounting system. So it has accounts. It has transactions. Okay? So again, domain is just to say that the class is related to the business of that application. So it's a domain model. Questions here? Okay, I'm gonna have a look here because I know that people like writing stuff here. Very creative people here. Let's see, what's the best? What is the best thing to study for the test? Yes, yes, yes. No, those are questions. PPTs, yes, it's good. Textbook is good. Code example, they are all good. Now, what is the best one? Really, review the applications. Review what we have learned in the applications, okay? Have all of them close by. So, no, as time is taking, you are just there looking at the books, looking at the code, looking at this, looking at that. It will be easy. Will the test be paper-based or digital? Okay? It will be uncentennial. What's the meaning of, okay, I'll leave it up to you. When you know that, let's see if it matches mine. I have mine here, but again, I'll keep it for me. Okay. Okay, so next one here. How do you access the form's data value of an input called email? How can you do that? The input is called email. How do you access its value from the action? How do you access that from the action? Crickets? So think about the hidden variables that when you are deleting, you have a hidden ID to be able to know which recipe you are deleting. So that recipe ID in the delete action is coming from where? Well, it's an input. It's a hidden input, but it's an input nonetheless. So again, we have 4 options. Give me one. It doesn't need to be the right one, just one. Okay, we have some hypotheses here. B, by declaring a parameter called email in the action post method. Who agrees with that? Raise your hand. Okay. Who, no matter what I ask, will never raise your hands? See? A few hands. You are contradicting yourself. It's a contradiction, that. It's a paradox. B is the one. Like the delete, we have in the parameter the recipe ID that will be deleted. Okay. Again, look at what we have done. Look at delete is one example of that. Edit is another example. Well, edit is not using an input field here. Remember that when we did the model, the email, username, and passwords, 3 fields that we are asking in the login. We create those 3 fields in the parameters. Okay? So, B. Okay. When creating a the migration scripts, which parameter do we have to use in the package manager console to specify which database we want to generate scripts for? In case we have multiple databases. Of course, if we don't have multiple databases, we don't need to specify anything. In case we have multiple databases, which one we use to say, hey, I want to generate for this database, not for that one. Which one?
Context.
Context. Okay? Last but not least, okay, this is a typical example that you should have your code close by. What methods are used to create services that are required for session management? First of all, where would you check that in your codes? Where would you go for? Which class, which file? Startup. So open a startup, open the sports store startup, see what is there. If you open the very last one, you're going to see it. You're going to see which ones are there, which ones are not. Okay? So, answer. What is that? What is it? Hopefully? D? Okay. Okay, so... Yes, C. C. MVC is there, but it's not about session management. It's not about session management. If you look at last version of Sports Store, yes, you're going to see add MVC, but it's not that. It's session management. So session management, we are talking about memory cache and add session. Okay? So we're going to have this kind of questions. Some will be easier than that. Some will be a little bit harder than that. But that's about it. Okay? Easy peasy. Okay. And again, next class, before we get to the test, we're going to do a few more. But I wanted you to have, a week and have some idea of what's happening there. Again, as I said, double check, dependency injection, okay? Have your codes close by. Anyway, before we go for a 10 minutes break, I would like to do this next. Every semester, Centennial asks us towards the end of the semester to have you doing the climate survey, okay? Climate survey, it's about your voice being heard by Centennial. It's a way that, whatever worked, whatever didn't work in the course, they'll get to know, they'll see that, they evaluate. I can tell you this, they really, really use that. They get back to us with what worked, what doesn't work. We don't know who answers what, by the way. Now, to be honest, I don't mind. Put anything you want, I don't care. But I care that you answer something. The problem is when you don't answer. The problem is if you don't fill the survey. that's when I get in trouble because I didn't ask enough for you to get the survey done. So what I would ask you to do, I'll put aside now 10 minutes for you to do the survey. Again, I don't care what you're going to write there, but I care that you write something, even if it's your name. Okay? Oh, actually, don't write your name. Yes, don't write your name. Okay, so again, take 10 minutes before our break. Do the climate survey, please. An email will be bugging you until next Friday, asking you to fill this out, because I set that up. So, please. It can be found on eCentennial. In your homepage of eCentennial, you're going to see all the different courses that you are taking. Select 229 and go for it. Throw the verb there. No, don't save anything. While you do that, I'll do the attendance here. I'll take attendance. Yes. So, Eric Gray, Alessandra, Arsh, Arthur, Carmelo, Charlie, Dasson, okay, Dimitru, Frank, Hassan, Hui Huang Tran, Hui, no, okay, sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me see if I have the other one. Johnny. Isaac. James Chen. Jashan Jot. John Min. Kim. Rose. Lascelles. Luis. Muscan. Nayu. Rene. Rohan. Shane. Stephen. Sunil. Okay, Shane. Sunil is the partner. Okay, Sunil. I'll hook you guys up, but Sunil is the one. Okay, he sent me an email after my email. He says that he didn't have a group. By the way, talking about groups, if you have just the group of yourself, and I saw some people on the Centennial with just him or herself in the group, make sure that you have more people in the group. Isaac, I'm talking about you. You just have yourself there. Are you part of a group? You are a group in your own? Okay. Because the other members need to join, okay? Okay, Tangila? Okay, Tio Kang Nguyen. Tio Kwang Nguyen. Okay, I'm doing my best. Okay. I know I'm bastardizing your name, but Chao Jing Chu, Chao Jing. Okay. And Yang Kim. Okay. If I did not call your name, let me know. Come on, come on. To meet my quota, I need 5 more people. I know the numbers. I know how many fill out. I need 5 more. Come on, 5 more. Let's cross that line, please. I'm talking about the climate survey, okay? Okay.
Still not working.
Okay, so the problem is something else then. But that was wrong? That order was wrong?
Order was one. Yeah, learning, but it doesn't go to the next step. Just go to, again, the login page again.
Okay, so we can look at that. Okay?
So, firstly, I would like to ask something about our project.
For the projects,
We are doing the topic is searching,
searching.
and I would like to ask if we only need to search for the name of the recipes, or do we need to search for all the contents in the database?
So how many? What are the other properties of the recipe? Do we have name,
Names and their descriptions, and
ingredients, maybe?
ingredients, yeah.
So it has to be all of them.
All
So yeah, so that's the idea. The description is very clear. It's the term has to be in one of them, not in all of them at once. It's not in and, it's an or. In this or in that field. So we have to, in a way, check if it's in this field or this field or this. If it's anywhere, it should show in the results.
So we need to check all the
All the properties.
properties. So
Yeah,
in
but-
the- in the model, right? Okay.
But it's just about thinking of your where statements. You just have to have it a little bit smart there. Just the where. You can just use where. That's it.
Where?
Where.
Okay.
Where is where you're gonna do the filtering. So you just have to be creative a little bit there. It's one line. One line will solve this for you. One line. The same thing that you do for name only, you just do for name, or this, or this, or this. I'm giving you the answer. Just listen. I'm giving you the answer.
We'll try.
More than that, then I'll write it for you. If it's more than that, I'll have to write it for you.
Thank you.
No problem.
And for another question.
Yep.
Excuse me.
No problem.
So could we use any of the JavaScript in the assignment, or
To use any JavaScript, to do, for instance, to do what?
for example, if we need to input the task for the word that we need to search for,
To input you mean a task,
yeah, a string.
a string? Where the string in the URL? You mean something like this?
Well, just in the input box.
Okay. Okay. If you need to use some JavaScript, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. No problem. Okay, so let's use our time well. Let's go for a 10 minutes break. Again, if you finish the survey, great. If you didn't, you can carry on. I'm gonna give it a 10 minutes break, and once we get back, we're gonna start the bonus and the assignment 3, okay? 10 minutes.